Hello and welcome to the movie podcast review of the Bob's Burgers movie. My name is Daniel, and joining alongside me are my fellow fry cooks. Anthony.
Hello, everyone. I'm your
cook. That's our cook. And making his return to the show, Shahbaz. Hello, Shahbaz.
Hello, this is your captain speaking. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. How you been doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I'm finally back. I missed this. I felt weird not being a part of the show for past couple reviews, and unfortunately some more that are going to be coming down in the future. But you got to put the halal bacon on the table, as they say. So I got to do what I got to do out here. To hustle in these streets, as they say.
That is our favorite saying. The putting the halal bacon on the table. That's a great one. That's a great one. Honestly, Shay, we've missed you. It's great to have you back. It's been a very interesting couple of weeks, even though you were only gone a week.
I was gone a week. I don't know why. It's been a few months.
It's been a few months since we've had you. But it felt like it felt longer. It definitely has felt longer. But also, what's interesting is because we were playing a little bit of time traveling because we recorded things before you left, and while you were gone, you as well too. We recorded some stuff, so you haven't really been absent too much, other than except without being physically here in person with us.
Right.
So. No, it's good to have you back. Because as always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday, and watch out throughout the week for our review episodes and all the latest movies and series. Make sure you follow us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us your review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. Check your show notes and check our show notes for all of those links and more. There's lots to listen to on the Movie Podcast feed, as I was saying. There's been so much going on in the month of May, and somehow we are already at the end of it. If you want to check out our spoiler-free review of Stranger Things Season 4, go check that out. You could also watch it on YouTube if you want to see my lovely face and Anthony's lovely face talk about it. We've also been so lucky this month to have so many incredible special guests, including Akiva Schaffer, The Lonely Island, and the director of the Chippendale Rescue Rangers film, Mark McKinney and Dave Foley of The Kids in the Hall, Devin Akota of Sneakerella, Sam Raimi and Michael Waldron. There's been so many special guests joining us this month, and hopefully June, we're not slowing down. We have a lot more planned and a lot more giveaways happening too. Speaking of giveaways, I want to say thank you to everybody who entered into our Bob's Burgers movie giveaway that we partner with our friends at Disney Studios Canada on. Hopefully you all got to enjoy yourselves at the screening. Shay, I know you were at that very screening, I think, making sure they were all having fun. You weren't even watching the movie.
I was like, when you go to a school trip and they have the like
chaperones?
The chaperone there. Yeah. I was just like, hey, so you want from the Movie Podcast? All right, come on, sit down. We're going to have a great time. They're like, no, I don't like the seat. I want to sit higher up. I'm like, no. This is our row. You sit or you don't.
Did you guys sit together? Did you guys sit together?
With us.
We all did. We all got tattoos after the film too.
Oh,
damn.
Bob's Burgers tattoos, though. Bad choice. We should have gotten Movie Podcast ones.
You should have. Yeah, I feel like that would have been in line more. But did you guys also walk hand in hand to the theater? Like you're like a big classroom on a trip?
And it sucked because if you've been to a Cineplex, the halls are not wide enough for 10 people to go walk through. So some people were left behind. It's unfortunate.
That's good. But everybody seemed to have a good time is what you're saying, though.
Yes, I did see a lot of people posting on their Instagram stories that they won.
Yes.
We had a lot of people. Bob's Burgers was a very hot contest. We had a lot of people trying to want to get tickets, and we're so sorry we couldn't get everybody. But the people that did get a chance to win, we would love to hear what you also thought of the film after we're done talking about it.
There's lots more to look forward to on the Movie Podcast feed because, of course, we're heading into another busy week. We'll have our review out for The Boys Season 3, the first 3 episodes, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jurassic World Dominion, Lightyear, and we're going to have a spoiler discussion on Top Gun Maverick. So there's lots to look forward to on the Movie Podcast. But today is all about the Bob's Burgers movie. This film is directed by Loren, Bouchard, and Bernard Derriman, and of course it stars the amazing cast of characters and voice actors from the show. And I want to say thank you again to our friends at Disney Studios Canada for inviting us to watch this film, and again for partnering with us on the giveaway. And this film is going to be releasing in theaters on May 27th from 20th Century Studios, which is also Disney Studios now. Anthony, I'm going to get you to kick us off with the synopsis, and then we're going to kick it to Shay for his first reaction.
The Bob's Burger Movie is an animated big-screen musical comedy mystery adventure based on the long-running Emmy-winning series. The story begins when a ruptured water main creates an enormous sinkhole right in front of Bob's Burgers, blocking the entrance indefinitely and ruining the Belchers' plans for a successful summer. While Bob and Linda struggle to keep the business afloat, the kids try to solve a mystery that could save their family's restaurant. As the dangers mount, these underdogs help each other find help and fight to get back behind the counter where they belong.
Thank you very much. And of course, the Bob's Burgers movie is up based on the long-running show. It's been on the air for like 10 years now, 10 plus years. Shay, you're probably the biggest Bob's Burger fan of the trio here on the show. Start us off with your first reactions to the film, and also your reservations and your kind of thoughts going into this movie.
Yeah, like you guys mentioned, I am a huge Bob's Burgers fan. I absolutely love the show, for me, it's one of those animated shows that even in its later seasons, I still find funny. Not every episode might land, but I still find it funny, which is something that I couldn't say about The Simpsons. I feel like I love a diehard Simpsons fan up until like season 11, I'd say. And then beyond that, the show, I feel like it kind of lost its touch for me personally. But Bob's Burgers, I mean, I think they're on season 12 now or 13. I can't remember. I lost count. And it's still great to me. It still does great. So I was nervous going into a movie about it because, animated shows into movies don't always land, especially when they kind of feel late in the game of what the series is. I feel like a Bob's Burgers movie should have happened maybe closer to season 5, where the height of the show was really at its point. And kind of like with the Simpsons film, the Simpsons movie when that came out, it came out way too late in the game. But I was very pleasantly surprised by this. I had a lot of fun. It was a really, really funny movie. There were some great jokes, great gags, and overall, it really captured the essence of the show. I was also happy that the plot of this movie wasn't very world-ending or giant stakes. Now, that's a positive and a negative, because where the negative kind of lies for me is, and I think this is a sentiment amongst all three of us, I think, that did it need to be a movie then? Because it just felt like a really high budget, longer episode, almost like a series or a season finale over a couple of episodes.
Right. And it's interesting, we look at a lot of shows that have had film adaptations. Something that's really interesting I always find with them too is that, the shows, sitcoms and animated shows all kind of exist in a bubble. So when you look at a show like Recess, you look at a show like SpongeBob, who all got theatrical films, when you see those shows, you don't really see the progression of time in those shows, because they're designed to be made to watch in any order, to air on any channel. You're going to watch it over and over and whatever. So when you have a movie come out, and I noticed this with SpongeBob, did this with like opening another Krusty Krab, and it's kind of pushing the timeline forward. Recess, it's the end of the school year. The Bob's Burger movie too, end of the school year. You're creating, I guess, a push forward in time, which is interesting to see compared to the show, because now you're setting things in motion that you don't always get to see on the show side. And you mentioned it too, Shay, that you're like, okay, this is now an animated show that is now an animated movie. Yes, you could see the production value is up. There's definitely a little bit more like cell shading, it looks like, going on in them, so they look more 3D. They look more expensive, I guess, when you look at it. Same things with the Simpsons, premium right? Burgers. Like when you watch the Simpsons movies and you see these crazy camera shots where you're just like, whoa, look at this camera movement, it is going 360. You're like, oh, they had money for this episode, or they had the budget for this episode or this movie. This movie definitely has that, but this movie is also really funny. So I think there's a lot here. If you're a Bob's Burger fan, you're going to really love this movie. But where I'm struggling is that, okay, if you're not a fan of the Bob's Burgers franchise, is there going to be much here for you? Now, Anthony, I know, hasn't really watched the show. So I want Anthony to jump in here with what his thoughts were, because you were kind of going in on a clean slate, Anthony.
Yeah, like I think I've watched 1 or 2 episodes before kind of going into this film, but I'm not a huge Bob. I don't think I've really know these characters. I'd seen them before. I watched the 2 episodes and like, okay, let me get into this movie. And really, the first thing that my first reaction to it was the animation looked really, really good. Like the fluidity and the colors and just the way they built this storyline looked fantastic. And that's what kind of got me, and the comedy was there, and the musical aspect to it, the catchy songs were really, really good, and I enjoyed those parts of the movie. But I kept asking myself, does this story that I'm getting right now really warrant a film? And just like Shay, I just kept feeling like this could have been done on a TV show or a TV episode, or maybe a little bit longer or a special. But like for it to be a film, does it really warrant Bob's Burgers to come out on the big screen? And they did utilize the big screen a lot. I think animation looks really nice on a big screen, like on a theater screen. It just really pops. But there are parts of this movie where I found myself kind of like bored, and maybe because I'm not invested in the characters, or I didn't really. Again, I haven't watched a lot of it, so I really wasn't invested, and I was trying to really get into this film, but I couldn't, and I found it a little bit slower paced right in the middle. But I did like, I guess Louise. I think she was the funniest. I think she's the most grounded person out of the whole group of characters that we saw in the movie. But overall, I felt like this could have just been an episode that you would have watched on TV.
I got you, and that's totally fair, And I think, Shay mentioned earlier in the review that, you would see animated shows that would turn to movies, their plots turn into like world-ending events, and I think that was done because they had to justify it being okay. If we're a show, we need to justify why this needs to be a movie. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised, and they've said before. Seth MacFarlane has said in the past that Family Guy has. They have a movie in mind for Family Guy, so I'm of that same mind. I'm like, okay, this is another, I guess formerly Fox or 20th Century property that will eventually see a movie for. I mean, what would they do there? And like right now with the 20th Century or on Fox, it's it's The Simpsons, it's Bob's Burgers, and it's Family Guy, still making shows, still doing their thing. This movie was also rumored to be coming for a really long time, and it's crazy that it's actually here and it's great and it's out there. I'm just curious, where does Bob's Burgers go from here? And maybe Shay, you'll be the best person to maybe put your thoughts on that.
Well, my years of research in Bob's Burgers 101 has taught me that you guys bring up great points. And again, like even though I enjoyed this movie, I know I'm of the mindset of someone who loves the show, but at the same time, it's hard to justify this film because yes, the plot isn't that. It didn't warrant a film, and I think that's kind of where I'm stuck with it because it was fun, but it wasn't very in depth, and I think they could have gone deeper. They could have shown more about these characters. I mean,
hey man, there's a sinkhole. You want to go deeper than the sinkhole that's in this movie?
That's true. But like the beginning of this film, sets up this really cool premise of this murder, and we don't really ever see dead bodies in the show, so that kind of started off on a really good path, but it all kind of just slowed down in the middle, and then towards the end, like you find out pretty quickly who did the crime, and it's just a long way to the payoff part, and I think that's kind of where it got stuck for me as well. But you mentioned Louise, played by the brilliant Kristen Schaal. She always does carry this film, and she and Bob's Burgers as well. She's such a brilliant character, and the whole gag about her hat, carried over from the show into now. I wished also that kind of stuff paid off a little bit more, because that's in the movie is where you can kind of break that element of it, because that we don't have to address it on the show. You can if you want to, but when the next season of the show comes out, they can even avoid talking about it. So that's kind of where I wish they took a bit more risks. But did I still have a good time? Yes. And Anthony mentioned it. Animation looks fantastic on the big screen. And it really did. Like the budget really showed, and I loved seeing all the vivid colors, seeing all the characters. And what's interesting is this is a show that, I watch at home, usually by myself, really, when I'm eating. So watching it with like over 100 people in a theater was such a cool experience, because we were all laughing at the same thing that we're seeing. And you don't really see that with TV shows. There's not 100 people watching a TV show at the same time. But that's kind of what it felt like today. And it was a unique experience, I'll say.
I'm wondering,
that's really cool.
I'm wondering, like, would this show, like this movie, will it bring in a new audience? Because me, as being a new audience to this series, I didn't really want to go watch the episodes after watching this film. And I'm like, man, this is really designed for fans of Bob's Burgers, because for me, it didn't really connect with me, and I didn't go home and binge Bob's Burgers episodes. So I'm just curious to see if this is something that would bring newcomers, or if this would just be, if you're a fan of Bob's Burgers, this is what we got for you. But then, is this really, if you're a fan of Bob's Burgers, is this the story you wanted out of it?
You're right.
This is a movie, right? Like, you're paying to go watch this. This is not on TV where you're part of your cable subscription. Now you're paying more money to watch a story, which it's good, but it's not good enough to warrant that price.
Right. And I think that's an interesting point you bring up, because a lot of these movies that are based on TV shows, really they are for the fans. Like I think it's hard for someone to go watch Recess Schools Out, having not watched Recess, and love it the same way that people who watched Recess loved it. Or even I
thought you were going to say Downton Abbey if you wanted a more recent one from this decade.
It's actually funny because the theater that was playing the movie Bob's Burgers today, the poster outside of it was supposed to be for Downton Abbey, and I was like, that's a movie and a show as well. What are the odds?
Yeah. What are the odds as well?
Like you mentioned, Anthony, I don't know if the end goal for the creators, I mean, I'm sure the end goal is to have more people watch the show, but I don't know if that's what they set out to do, or if they set out to do something just for the fans and then kind of go from there and say, hey, if we can get new people on board, that's a win. But really, we want to pay it forward for the fans who've been such loyal fans of this show for this many seasons. Let's give them something that they've always wanted to see. But again, to your point, is this the story that they wanted to tell? Is this the heights that they wanted to go to?
Let's get to our final recommendations. To shake things up, I'm going to go first, just so I'm not talking so much at the end. I think we're all on the same page with this film. I think this is a really well-made film. It's beautiful animation. It's a really fun story. It definitely slows down towards the end. But I think, if you are a fan of the Bob's Burgers TV show, this movie's for you. Go watch this movie. You're going to have a great time with it. It feels right in line with the shows, and I think you could easily slip this in with your rewatch of the show or as you go through it, and you'll have a great time with it. For those of you who aren't fans of the Bob's Burgers film, I don't know if this is the best spot to jump off from because there is a lot of groundwork that's already been done from the shows that you're going into this at. Yes, you could watch it and be okay, but you're not going to pick up on everything, and I don't think you're going to get everything from it that you would had you watched the 10 plus seasons of the show. Still a really well made film, and you're gonna laugh. You're gonna be like tapping your feet. I forgot what part of the body's taps. I mean, tapping your toes or feet, tapping your feet along to this. I believe tapping your teeth. There it is, along to the songs, because the songs, as always in the show, are very, very catchy, and they were sticking in my head afterwards. So, Bob's Burger fans, go watch it. If not, you could maybe add it to your queue on Disney Plus and check it out later on. Anthony, I'm going to get you to follow us up here.
Yeah, if you're a Bob's Burgers fan, by all means, go watch it. If not, I would say go watch Top Gun this week and wait for it to be streaming on Disney Plus.
Shahbaz.
Yep, this is going to be 3 for 3. I'd say watch it if you're a Bob's Burgers fan. It's a great movie to watch. It was really fun. If you're on the fence about it as a Bob's Burgers fan, then wait for Disney Plus. And I'd say for everybody else, watch the show on Disney Plus. And if you kind of like that humor, you like where it's going, then you're going to probably want to watch this movie when it comes out on Disney Plus. So add it to your queue for that, but watch it for the fans.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And thank you again to our friends at Disney Studios Canada for inviting us to watch this film and for partnering with us on the giveaway. We hopefully will have a lot more coming in June and throughout the rest of the year. And of course, as always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday, and watch out throughout the week for our review episodes and all the latest movies and series. We are back to our weekly episodes this week. The three of us are back. We're going to be back in the same room, and you cannot stop us. I don't know why you need to, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you're following us at on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd at The Movie Podcast, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We're still trying to hit our 200, our 5-star review mark. So if you could help us out, that'd be great. And also join our Discord. We're having some really fun conversations in there. We're getting a lot of people from around the world joining us in discussions on movies, and it's been really, really cool. So thank you so much for that. And if you want, please write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. You could check out our show notes for all of those links and more. Lots to look forward to this week. Make sure you tune in. That was This Time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.